Ms. Bhattacharya, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. Now, one of the things that was announced during the budget was the reform of the banking sector. And the finance minister did announce that a high level committee will be formed to look into possible reforms that can be undertaken in the banking sector. How do you respond to this very important announcement?
So basically, if you consider the fact that we are rapidly, trying to become a really bigger economy and being more a part of the global supply chain, banking practices in India do need to evolve. Banking in India, as you know, was very much dependent on deposits. Today, deposits have a lot of other competitors that want them as well. And they have a plethora of choice as to where they can invest. And as a result of that, the kind of banking that we used to do earlier is no longer feasible in the time going forward. Bankers will need to evolve their practices. They need to use far more technology. Their way of, actually delivering services have got to change. Not only that, their sizes also, I think, given the global context, they need to become bigger in size. So given all of these, the high-level committee will probably look at all of these angles and make their recommendations. But yeah, I think it's time that we went through a step change in banking in India, and it's something that's we should all look forward to.
So, just as a follow up to that, now, when Nirmala Sitharaman specifically was asked about what would these reforms actually entail, whether or not there'd be a merger of banks, well, she was quite unclear because when it came to the press conference in which she spoke, she said that ultimately a decision will be taken and those details will in fact emerge much later. So, therefore, there's no clarity right now on what kind of reforms we're actually talking about. But what's your take on the kind of reforms we could possibly expect or the reforms that are indeed desirable as far as the banking sector is concerned?
Yeah, that is unclear. And frankly, when the finance minister herself is not articulating that, I think it's above my pay grade to articulate it. But what I can see clearly is the fact that, market practices have got to change. We've got to get more comfortable with sourcing money from the market than from depositors. So that's one big step change that has to happen. The second thing is we have got to grow in size. Our sizes too are suboptimal at this point of time to serve an economy that is number 3 in ranking in the world. So we need bigger banks. And if we need bigger banks, how are we going to get there? The third thing I think is the use of technology. I think the use of technology also, if you look at the way the banks are using them across the world, especially in the larger banks, I see far greater use of technology than I'm seeing in the Indian banking system. And that's another thing that I think, that we need to look at. And there are various other issues of credit monitoring, of risk mitigation, of practices regarding, your own people, that is employee practices. So all of these, I think, need to be thought through and need changes. Again, as I said, I cannot articulate what will be the framework that this commission will give, but I do believe that it should encompass all of these issues.
Right. And finally, ma'am, anything else that stood out in terms of announcements in this budget?
Well, one of the takeaways, of course, is in the IT area. I was glad about the fact that, they talked about creation of data centers and they gave something like income tax holiday till 2047. Like, I don't think we have had anything that long range ever articulated in a budget speech. And that goes to show that many of these initiatives that were already there had gaps in them, and as a result of which they were not really taking off. So probably, because of the gaps and because of the amount of talking we have been doing around them, they have listened, obviously. And that's the reaction, in the sense that they have come out with something that addresses the fact that these are initiatives that need long term in order to be profitable, that need certainty for a pretty long period of time, and they are trying to provide that. So I think what stood out is the fact that there is commitment in bringing in the latest of the technologies. I would have liked a little more detail as to how, IT could actually be used, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., could actually be used in providing citizen services, in boosting efficiencies and productivities. But having said that, already the budget, many people are saying, is too full of minutiae, and maybe that's not something that they wanted to do. But basically, while they have shown their commitment to the coming area of technology, I would have loved to have got a little more detail about how they intend to really internalize all of the evolution that's taking place in the tech area.
Right, we'll wait and see as to how things evolve on both those fronts. Firstly, of course, the banking reforms and what kind of reforms the announcement actually entails, and the formation of the committee, of course, and what's next in store as far as the services sector is concerned. Many thanks indeed for speaking to us, Ms. Bhattacharya.